Alright, it seems I haven't done a haul video for some time. Well, today I've got a big ass haul video, a haul and a half, whatever you call it, but lots of fragrances that I've picked up. Cheapies, designers, luxury designers, niche, you name it, all covered. And if you want to find out what I got, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Everybody loves to watch haul videos. I've done many of them in my lifetime. And I buy a lot of fragrances, and of course I use them in videos that I do. My lists, themed videos, notes and genres and things like that. All the fragrances in those kind of videos. So I keep acquiring as much as I can with my budget allowing me to, and these ones I have all purchased for topics on the channel and also just to collect. I'm a collector, obviously, and sometimes you guys are saying, how come I buy large bottles? I like the large bottles, and it gives me enough juice to share with family and things like that. I don't share a lot, but sometimes if some people are nice to me, I might give them something and things like that. So there's many different fragrances here, lots of different genres. There might be feminine fragrances in here, maybe one or two. A lot of them I haven't opened up, some I did open up, but I thought I'd do it. And there might be some used items here and there and some testers as well, all coming up. But before I get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So these haul videos are turning out to be long, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is a Jo Malone fragrance that I ended up buying used from a friend. And I've never spoken about this one, but it's called Roses and White Musk, this one right here. Obviously, as you can see, it's a bit used, but I got a good deal on it, and I like Jo Malone. And this is the Absolute version, so let's hope it's going to be a little longer lasting. They're typical eau de colognes, but all of these are eau de cologne fragrances, so they're not necessarily fresh because the notes in here don't seem like ultra fresh, but they don't have the density of like eau de parfums do. And I quite like this one. I had smelled it before. I don't have any of these particular bottles that are all kind of gradient with colors and things like that. But I do like the fragrance. I love white musk, and of course I love rose as well. So this one should satisfy, especially since I have little juice here, as you can see. So that's the first item. The next item I bought is a men's classic fragrance, I think dating back to the 80s. And somebody had recommended this to me, and they said, I actually used their email in a question and answer video, and they were asking about if I ever buy fragrances just because it's so inexpensive, and if you buy something, you're gone past the threshold of getting free shipping. So the fragrance is so inexpensive that if you add like $5, $6, $7, $8 more to your items that you buy, you get free shipping, and then you end up with an inexpensive fragrance that might turn out great. It's $273 from it's for men from Fred HAYMAN of Beverly Hills, and this is a fragrance I recall or remember from a while ago, and I'm quite interested in it to see. But where's the cap for this? Oh, here it is. I did smell this one recently, but as you can see, this is the bottle here. And the cost for this, I don't know if I really did that thing where you add a certain amount to get the free shipping, because I always buy a certain amount to get free shipping to begin with. But it was around $14 for this, and it's a classic fragrance. I'm not going to spray it on me because I'm wearing a few things on one side, and I'm going to hold off for the other side. But it smells like a classic men's spicy fougere-like lavendery barbershop-y kind of fragrance, which I kind of like. It does smell a little synthetic, but I kind of like it. It smells a little plasticky, but I like it. Anyway, that's an expensive cheapie, and I'm glad to have it. And I'm compiling a collection of classic men's fragrances so I can do more videos on men's classic fragrances. And speaking of men's classic fragrances, this is discontinued now, and I had to buy it, and I actually bought 3, and I stored away 2 of them, and I've got one of them here. It's from the house of Yves Saint Laurent YSL. This is Opium pour Homme in the Eau de Toilette. Eau de Parfum's been long gone. I wish I can get a bottle of that, but thankfully I have this. But YSL's been discontinuing a lot of fragrances. A lot of their classic men's fragrances are being axed. I think M7 was axed as well. Jazz is, what else? Rive Gauche got axed. I'm saddened that a lot of these classic fragrances are getting axed. I don't even know if Pour Homme is still around. They were all moved into that square bottle collection, and now they're slowly getting axed. This one did get axed, but it never made it into that, you know, square bottle collection. And then of course Kuros still is around, but I have a feeling with the fact that L'Oreal is all in it for the money, they might axe that fragrance as well. Glad to have this one. This is a fragrance that came out in the early to mid 90s, and it's created by Jacques Cavalier, and it's a men's version of the very classic opium for women. And I think the very first time I experienced opium for women is when I was very young. My mom wore opium for women. She had a most beautiful bottle, and it got me excited when this came out to get a bottle. And I hadn't worn it since the 90s, and now I'm glad to have it. I know it doesn't smell as good as it used to be. It's kind of like a you know, very light version of what I remember this used to be, because it was a lot more beast. But I can kind of like reminisce and think about, well, at one time what it used to be. So that's Opium Pour Homme for men in the eau de toilette concentration. And again, it's discontinued, so get yourself a bottle if you like this fragrance. The next one is a fragrance from a designer house also under L'Oreal, and it was one of the fragrances I was really looking forward to get, and I did a video about all these great fragrances coming out, and I have it, and you know, I'm not as disappointed as the previous release in this collection, but I'm also not like, oh my god, this is such a great release kind of a thing. This is Infrared, SPICEBOMB Infrared from VIKTOR and ROLF. It's much better than Night Vision. I kind of couldn't stand Night Vision. In fact, it smelled really inexpensive, cheap, kind of. There's a smell that I kind of don't like that's used in a lot of men's fragrances. You can go from one fragrance to the other, and they all start smelling similarly. This one smells more like the original, and the fact that it's supposed to have spicy chili kind of notes, I don't get them as much that I wanted to get, because, you know, it features those notes. And for me, it reminds me of the original with light spicy chili nuances. I'll put it to test a little more to see how it wears on me, and if it's not anything I'm excited about, I might not review, but I'm not as disappointed as Night Vision, because I kind of couldn't stand Night Vision. So this next one is a fragrance that I bought because a lot of you were saying, oh, why would you get a 30 ml if you love big fragrances? So yes, I just bought a bigger fragrance. It's a 30 ml that I reviewed recently with Dahlia. If you haven't caught that video, for NEREIDES Patchouli Antique. This is the 100 ml bottle, which comes in this box. It's a completely different box than the previous one that I had. So I haven't opened this up, obviously, and I'm doing it for the first time here on camera. So Patchouli Antique. Let's see, is it the new bottle or the old bottle? This is weird, it doesn't look like Patchouli Antique. Wow, it's different. They have completely done a different fragrance, and the color is so different. This is so freaking weird. Wow. I don't get it. I freaking do not get it. Now they have another version of Patchouli Antique, which has these flowers on the back. The juice color is different. What the freaking heck? Let's smell it. It's kind of a light rendition of the original. That's weird. What the heck? Okay, now I have to do something about this. This is really weird. Anyway, I'm not sure if I'm glad to have this now, because this is just bizarre. They have so many different bottles and variations. If you haven't watched my video about Patchouli Antique that I did with Dahlia, there's so many different variation of this fragrance. And now we have another one. And in that video we were talking about how different they are. Now we have another one to worry about. It's just confusing, really, really confusing. Patchouli Antique from NEREIDES. Which one is the correct one? I don't even freaking know. So weird. Okay, this is another fragrance that I was anticipating for quite some time. It's Polo, the new Cologne Intense. This is something I've been anticipating, and I have put it to use. I'll do a review of this one very soon. Let me take my glasses off. You know, it's a distant relative or distant cousin of the original. If this fragrance came out in '78 when the original came out, this would have been a complete flop. This is, it's not a bad fragrance, don't get me wrong. I do like it. In fact, I like it a lot more than other men's designer fragrances, especially ones that smell like night vision. But this is like wimps, you know? I think noses have gotten really sensitive or something, because like I said, if this came out, if this was what they gave us for the 1978 original Polo Green, this would have been a disastrous flop. There's no way this fragrance would have worked back then. What has happened since 1978 with the original Polo to now with this little wimpy thing? Like a really like the offspring of Polo many years later, and people have gotten weak and kind of, you know, very, what's the word to use? Like, just very sensitive to things, you know? I just don't get it. And anyway, I guess just people don't like strong fragrances. It just bothers them or something. I wonder how people dealt with those strong fragrances back in 1978 and throughout the 80s. Again, this is, I guess it borrows a little from the original, but for me, it feels like it's just I guess, okay, we're thinking about Polo, the original green fragrance, but we're going to do our own thing, you know? For me, this seems like it's very citrusy with light hints of the aromatics and the, you know, the woodsy notes that were prominent in the original fragrance. Again, I don't hate the fragrance. I just think, why bother calling this Polo when it doesn't really smell anything like the original? For me, there's a lot of grapefruit in it, or some kind of a citrus that I like. I love citruses, but again, it's not like the original Polo. Okay, this is another one that I've been anticipating, and it's here, and I kind of like it actually. It's the new one from Tom Ford. It's Soleil BRULANT, this one right here. And I get the big bottle, yes. I do like these big bottles, and of course, are they going to do another gold bottle? Probably not, so I'll have a collector's item here. And you know what? Thankfully, I like this a lot more than the Tuberose New from Tom Ford, like that launched in January. It smells better, and I can actually tolerate and wear this one. I'm not sure if it's excellent, because I haven't really worn it too much yet. I just dabbled on some stuff, and I like the honey in here, and of course, the gold kind of matches the honey kind of quality of the fragrance, but it's definitely much better than the Tuberose. The Tuberose hinted at some Tuberose fragrance, so like for me it hinted a little bit at Amarige from Givenchy, but it became so resinous and gummy and powdery and dry that it was like it didn't do justice to the Tuberose in that fragrance. Here at least I think they're doing justice to the honey. Like they are kind of highlighting it nicely, and for it to smell like you're wearing a honey fragrance. I'm not even sure if honey is the main note here. I think it is, but I'd like to you know, put it to use and then come back and report on it and do a full review. But that's Soleil BRULANT from Tom Ford, and I do like what I'm smelling. Let's put it to use so I can do a full review for you guys of this one. So I'm fine buying testers, and I'm glad I bought this particular tester, and I've been wanting this one since I first smelled it, but I never bought it, and I found a great deal for it. This is the Gucci Bloom collection. It's Acqua di Fiori, this one right here. There is a green quality about this one, but it's also called Aqua, so there is a little bit of a watery thing happening, but it's got a green touch, and I think it features galbanum, so I'm trying to compile galbanum in fragrances, and I also want to explore this collection a little more. Let me know how many of you are fans of this one, and do you like this collection? Sad that when I went to Gucci's website to research this fragrance and the entire collection, a lot of them are no longer there, so it only featured the original and a few of the more later ones. So Gucci is like really like cranking them out and then discontinuing things really quickly. So I just don't know if maybe they're just temporary or like limited edition kind of releases, but just slow down and then focus on something that's really good rather than just cranking them out flanker after flanker after flanker. But I kind of like this one when I first smelled it, and I noticed it had a lot of green touches, and I love green fragrances, and of course, as you can see, it's got this whole green thing on the label, and so I'll explore this further. It is feminine targeted, but you know, fragrances like this exist for unisex in the niche world, so why wouldn't I wear it? So that's Gucci Bloom Acqua di Fiori. If you don't know it, do check it out. Now this one was recommended by someone, a follower of mine or subscriber of mine here, and he said you got to get this one. It's feminine. It's a he that recommended it. He said it's a feminine targeted fragrance, but it kind of smells like lipstick on from Maison Margiela. It's from the house of Givenchy, and it's called L'Ange Noir, this one right here. I've never heard of this one until he told me about it, and he said it's a great alternative for lipstick on. So here it is. I have it. I bought it. And once again, it's a fragrance I never knew existed, and it came out in the early 2010s. That's the bottle right there. Yes, I do see the somewhat similarities of lipstick on. Not a lot. I feel like the lipstick on qualities are here, but I also get violets from this one, and I also do not get the tonka beans that reminded me of Feb Delicious in lipstick on. This one, for me, it's more lipsticky, powdery iris with violets, but I'll still have to put it to use. I'll see, but you know, if you like fragrances like that, you might like this particular fragrance. But again, I never knew about this one. I had never seen it. It must have come and gone really quickly, or maybe I wasn't paying attention to Givenchy fragrances early in the 2010s. Either way, let me know if you're a fan of this one. If you know it, it's called L'Ange Noir. I think that's how you say it, from the house of Givenchy. Next up is another tester that I purchased from the house of Cartier, from their higher end exclusive lineup of fragrances. This is Oud and Mint, this one right here. So this one I fell in love with just before the pandemic. Cartier section at Bloomingdale's here in San Francisco had put out their new fragrances, and I realized that there is a mint version of the Oud's collection. And of course I'm a fan of the ginger one, and of course this does remind me of the ginger, but a minty version of the ginger and oud. So I feel like there's a little bit of ginger in here. Also the mint, as you can, when you first spray this one, you get that mint blast, and it's a great mint blast, really great. But then it starts reminding me of the ginger oud combination that's in the Oud Radeau from Cartier, but a really, really, really beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous fragrance. It's in their new bottle. They changed their bottles looks, but absolutely a great smelling fragrance. If you like mint with a zingy, spicy, gingery combo with oud, then I think this will be great for you. The only thing is, it's not real oud, obviously. It's more of a the Western oud that some people might not like, but obviously in the Western world, that's what we're pretty much wearing, is the Western synthetic ouds. But it's a great scent. I love that one. So this is another one I was anticipating. It's from the house of BYREDO. It's Mixed Emotions. After wearing that sample that I had spoken about in another video for a while, I fell in love with it, and I actually ended up buying it. It's a tea fragrance, but it does have a rough start, but I kind of like that rough start. Initially I didn't like it, but I've been wearing this one a little bit, and I'm digging it a lot. This is Mixed Emotions, and the juice color is yellow, as you can see, and it's a kind of a rough, very camphoric, bitter green start, which turns out to be very, very cozy tea with spiciness and things like that. So this one is a really, really great release. I do want to dig into this house a little more. Let me know what your favorite fragrances are from BYREDO. If you have favorites, do let me know so I can check into them. I mean, I have my favorites, and if you've been following me, you know what I like from this house, but there's some other stuff that I can look into, and if I can, you know, get your recommendations, I can go and check those out as well. Either way, this is Mixed Emotions. I had mixed emotions about it when I first started wearing it, but it really did grow on me. This is a fragrance from a house called Chantecaille, and this is called Darby Rose, this one right here. So this one sounded so beautiful, and it has the most beautiful packaging, as you can see, just gorgeous. The roses on there and the beautiful bird. The rose kind of reminds me a little bit of the rose from Gucci, a song for the rose, but this one's called Darby Rose, and this is the fragrance here. It has a very, very beautiful rosy aroma. And it has classic nuances here, so it can remind you a little bit of classic rose fragrances, but I kind of like that. Even the Gucci A Song of the Rose reminds me of classic rose fragrances, but a beautiful, gorgeous, gorgeous rose. I think it's definitely a rose lover's rose, and this one will be put to great use. I feel like the rose has enough intensity to be worn in the winter, and also it's light enough to be worn in the summertime, kind of a thing. But you know, it's not like your beast mode kind of a rose or anything like that. It's a very, very elegant and gorgeous spicy rose. So that's a Darby rose from the house of Chantecaille. I do want to dig into that house, Chantecaille. I know they have some men's fragrances, but they did have a fragrance that I've known about for some time, although I love their vetiver, which is a feminine targeted vetiver. I feel like it's a very unisex vetiver, but they also have a fragrance called Kalimantan, which is an amber that I really, really think is a great amber. But another house I want to dig into a little further is SISLEY. They have a fragrance called Eau de Campagne. I've reviewed it, but I kind of want to dig into this house more. And this is a gift set I found online called SOIR d'Orient, and I'm quite happy that I got this one. Here's the bottle right there, and of course it came with a body cream and of course the perfume. This one is a classic Chypre. I'm spraying it in a place I don't want to spray. Let's spray it here. But it smells wonderful. There is a rosy nuance in here, definitely in there. I can totally smell it. But I think if you know this one, I think you know what I'm talking about. It has some beauty in it. It's a dark fragrance, but really, really gorgeous Chypre style fragrance. So that one's a great one to have. And another great house. It's mostly a beauty skincare house, but they have some excellent fragrances, and this is definitely one of them. Let me know if you're a fan of this house and their fragrances, and let me know, put a comment down so I can find out which fragrances you own from SISLEY. Another house I don't speak much about, but I kind of want to dig into them. I've always been a little iffy about this house, even though it's funny. One year when I was visiting Paris, I noticed that there was a new perfume house that had just popped up. It was 2015 or 2014. And I was like, what is this? I never even heard about it. Turned out to be a house called Ex Nihilo. And one of their fragrances that I had sampled there just 2 years ago was called Viper Green. It's here. So another green fragrance focusing on galbanum that I was very, very curious about. And of course I'm compiling galbanum in fragrances because I like to do a galbanum focused video in the near future. And when I sampled this in their boutique in Paris, I really enjoyed it. So here it is. We will discuss it very, very soon. But let me show you how beautiful this bottle is. And of course the juice color in here, if I could get it open. Right there. And right there. Although it doesn't seem as green, but I think the green develops into a darker green as the bottle is, you know, sitting out and seeing light. And the fragrance is itself a very greenish kind of a scent. I'm gonna have to put it to use a little more. Well, I haven't put it to use at all, except for samples I've worn, and of course sampling what I sampled in their store. But let me know if you're a fan of this house. I don't know who sells this house. It's not widely distributed. I know for a while it was on Saks Fifth Avenue's website. I know Lucky Scent carries it. I know I saw it at Bergdorf Goodman's in New York when I was there. But I think that's pretty much the extent of it. They are a little on the pricey side, but they're very, very luxury. So that's Ex Nihilo Viper Green. If you don't know it, do check it out. And of course, as I said, if you're a fan of this house, let me know what your favorite fragrances are. So there were 2 fragrances from the house of MOLINARD that I never saw get released here in the States. So I ordered 2 of their fragrances that I really like the idea of somewhere in Europe, but it freaking took like 4 months to get here. I ordered them at the end of December, or maybe just at the very, very beginning of January. It took them so long to get here. I finally got them. One of them is Osmanthus here, and then the other one is Santal Insolent here. So let me show you the Osmanthus. I've been digging into Osmanthus quite a bit. And it's a fruity, it's a flower that can go fruity leathery. and fruity as in stone fruit like apricots, peaches, nectarines, and things like that. So this is the osmanthus. It looks a little different than their other bottles, so I think they're changing some things around. We shall see. I'll do more, you know, I'll speak more about that fragrance. And this is their Santal Insolent box right there. And this is a darker bottle, as you can see. I'll have to put it to use, but it's all about sandalwood. And I think it does remind me a little bit of Santal 33, but I think it has more of a creamy sandalwood combination with that kind of like cucumbery, crispy, crunchy sandalwood that's prominent in Santal 33. So this is a great house out of Grasse, France, and they have some great fragrances, but sadly these were not released here, so I ordered them from Italy and now I'm finally getting them. Glad to have them, and we will do some videos about this house and of course some of the notes these fragrances focus on. But let me know if you're a fan of this house. Let me know what your favorite fragrances are. If you've tried Santal Insolent and the Osmanthus from this house, I'd like to find out. So this is a brand I've never spoken about on the channel. It's a designer, but mostly known for skincare, makeup, and it used to be the house that Serge Lutens got his start at, Shiseido. And this is a fragrance called Zen for Men. So I did a blind buy on this one. I kind of wanted to find out about it because, as I said, I didn't know much about their fragrances for men. I knew that they were known for Feminine Dubois way long ago that Serge Lutens got his start with. But I was looking for something different from men. I'm not sure about Zen for Men yet. It's a bottle like this. It's a fragrance like that. It seems a little not my taste, but I'm going to put it to use to see. But let me know if you're a fan of Zen for Men and their fragrances. It seems like this is a fragrance from the early 2010s. I think it was 2011. So I thought it might be a little unique compared to what's being launched recently. But to me, it reminds me of stuff that's been launched like towards the end of the 2010s and what's being popular in men's, signature designer fragrances. So I wasn't sure why that would be, because earlier on in the 2010s I didn't smell fragrances like this. So anyway, I'm going to put it to use more, but let me know if you're a fan of Zen for Men from the house of Shiseido and what you think about it. I'm getting slowly into the house of Armani Privé, and this is Musk Chamal. I know a lot of you are asking me to do Rose d'Arabie, but it's so well known. I wanted to do something a little less known, and here we've got Musk Chamal, and I'm a lover of musk, so it's a given that I would do this one. So let's see. I'm not showing you that one. This is what I'm showing you. Who's a fan of Musk Chamal? I'm going to put it on a finger. I don't have any strips. Now I had smelled this in passing someplace, but I didn't remember, but I took a chance because I got a good deal on it. It's musk, but it's got a lot more going on. It's not those kind of like silky smooth, kind of warm fuzzy musks. It seems a little more aromatic and a little more zingy, uplifting, a little spicy and soapy as well. So we shall see how this wears. But if you're a fan of Musk Chamal, let me know. Put a comment down so I can find out. And also, what are your other favorite fragrances from Armani Privé? So here's another Celine. Back to the one that I really loved when I went to their store in New York City and I bought my first one. This is Parade. Let me know if you're a fan of Parade. Let me know if you're a fan of Celine's fragrances, because they do have some great fragrances, I think. Not widely distributed. You have to go to their boutique to buy them. And of course, Celine is not a brand like Dior or Chanel. A lot of people don't know about it. At least not a lot of people in the fragrance community. But their fragrances are really solid. Some not performing as great as others, but I think they're solid fragrances. This is a Parade, and Parade was the fresh one. It's a fresh fragrance, and I'm going to spray it on the card just so that I can get a whiff of what it smelled like. I remember it being very floral citrus. Beautiful. Really beautiful. Yeah. If you like citruses like neroli, orange blossom, the flowers of citruses, and then of course juicy citruses under there, oh man, this is good. It's also very, very clean. It's got a laundry clean freshness. Oh man, it's good. It's really, really good. This will be put to great use during the summer warm months. So that's Celine's Parade. I now have Dans Paris, Night Clubbing, Reptile, and Parade. What's next? What's next from this brand? Let me know what your favorites are from Celine, so I can dig into them. I'd like to do a video, you know, like overview of the house, but probably with one more fragrance. So that's Parade. Two more fragrances, guys. This is one that I did feature in that video of fragrances I was looking forward to. This is Azaran from the House of Bulgari. It's similar to the bottle of Tigar. Look at that. Beautiful. Gorgeous bottle. So this is a fragrance created by Jacques Cavalier, and I did smell it, and you know what it reminds me of? It does remind me of a Louis Vuitton fragrance. It wasn't identical, but it reminded me of it. Nouveau Monde. It reminds me of Nouveau Monde, but it's really, really good. Focuses, I mean, it does have animalic touches, but it focuses on saffron. I think the color is inspired by this, the buds of the saffron flower, which is kind of like reddish, you know, bloody kind of orangey red. And I think that's what the bottle reminds me of. But it's very leathery because saffron has a very leathery smell. And that's why Nouveau Monde from Louis Vuitton is a leather with a chocolatey undertones. It's also animalic. I think there's also oud in there. So this does remind me of it, which is kind of disappointing because it's not truly original. And I hate it when perfumers go from one house to the other and create almost the same freaking fragrance. It's like, can't you come up with something original? Do you have to copy yourself? I mean, why do they do that? I don't get it. But, I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad fragrance. I just think I have it. I will have to do a comparison side by side with Nouveau Monde, but it does remind me of Nouveau Monde. So that is a little disappointing with the Azaran from Bulgari. And this is from a collection called Le Gemme, and this is the masculine collection, Le Gemme. And I did buy one more. This is the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about. This is Falcar. You guys were recommending these highly to me. These are refillable bottles, by the way. I don't know how to refill them. Probably go back to Bulgari. Yeah, probably go back to the Bulgari boutique. And this is Falcar right here. And this is more along the line of the Tigar bottle because it has a gem on top, whereas I didn't really look at the gem for the Azaran. But let's smell this one. I'm going to spray it on a finger. Let me know if you're a fan of Falcar. Is it another leather? Did I end up with two leathers? It is very leathery. It's kind of oudy, but dark and smoky. Definitely very leathery, intense. I'm very, very smoky, but I like it. I really like it. I mean, I don't hate the Azaran because I like that kind of fragrance. I think Nouveau Monde is definitely a solid release, but come up with something original. I mean, I guess what they do is they're like, okay, I know how to make this fragrance. I'm going to make a slight twist to it and make another fragrance similar to this brand. But the thing is, Bulgari is under LVMH. Wouldn't LVMH say, okay, you did this fragrance already for us. Can't you make something original? That's kind of weird, isn't it? Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular topic. If a perfumer creates a fragrance for one house, then goes and creates something very similar for another house under another name, is it really kind of like, it's almost like you're not putting in a lot of effort to come up with something new. You have something proven there, you're just taking it and moving it over kind of and tweaking it a little bit. Anyway, those are my fragrances in this haul. I'm really, really confused about NEREIDES Patchouli Antique. I ordered this directly off of their website, and they had a different bottle pictured there. In fact, they had a bottle pictured there that looked like my 30 ml within a 100 ml form with that dark juice. Now the juice is this. It's light, and the smell is a little different. So freaking annoying. Anyway, on that note, let me know what you think about these fragrances. Do you like any of them? Do you hate them? Are you curious to try any of them? Put a comment down so I can find out. I was planning on doing my question answers video for today, but sadly it's been a crazy time of trying to finish up my taxes, so doing the question answer videos does take a lot of time, so I might end up doing it by the end of this week, not on Saturday. Saturday is a top 20, but probably by Friday, so I'll get that out for you guys. Hopefully keep your fingers crossed if you're anticipating for those question answer videos. I'll be doing them with 12 questions, and those videos, once I find a topic that I think will do well by itself, we'll cut it up and then air it separately as well, so people can find them separately rather than one video, long video. Anyway guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Definitely let me know if you're a fan of these fragrances. Definitely let me know if you were curious, and now that you've watched this video, you're interested in some of the fragrances I spoke to you about. I'd like to find out. Other than that, I appreciate you tuning in. As I said, please do like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.